Market took a pretty sharp dip this morning to start the week here on Monday, and there's a lot of fear across the timeline wondering if we have had a local top, and some people even as fearful as saying we've had a cycle top, which, I'll just go ahead and say I do not think we have had that at all. But in this video, I'm going to go over the altcoin trades I am taking off the back of this dip, as well as the catalysts over the next 30 days that I do think will be very bullish for the markets. So we're not going to really waste time on this video. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Before we get started, as always, guys, be sure if you're enjoying the content here on the channel and are looking to win alongside us along this bull market, be sure to drop down below, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us get in front of more viewers and more crypto bulls just like yourself. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some incredible sponsors from Nexus, VoltiSig, Everreach Labs, as well as Blowfin. Blowfin continues to add new listings and new offerings. Now you can do USDC perpetuals on tons of major pairs. They have some of the best sign-up bonuses in the entire industry. And the best part about it, if you're in the United States, you need a place to trade. You can utilize Blowfin from anywhere, no KYC and no restrictions wherever you're located. So be sure to check out Blowfin down below, and you can take advantage of some of their very lucrative sign-up bonuses. And also check out Nexus, one of the best decentralized exchanges in the entire space. So without further ado, let's jump into it, guys. Obviously, this morning we did see a little bit of a dip, and the timeline got very scared from this. Like, we woke up and we were at 115K. We saw, Ethereum down at 4,200. XRP was in the high $2. We saw some pretty good dips across the board whenever it comes to every coin. Like, most coins did not escape this dip. Even the strength coins did have a little bit of a red morning. We're seeing a little bit of an uptick since that, now in the mid 116s, which is good to see. And I just do think that it serves a reminder that Bitcoin and also bull market dips are for buying. The trend is always your friend, and people always try to get too cute and fancy or call this the local top. Some people even saying potentially cycle top, and I just don't really see that given all of the things on the horizon with the economy, with rate cuts potentially, as well as just the trajectory of Ethereum. I don't think we've topped out. I don't think we've seen the big euphoria, the mass, all the frenzy on your timeline where everyone's winning and they're expecting another multiples on different coins. We're nowhere near that point in the market. So just a reminder that the trend is your friend, and bull market dips are for buying, just like bear market dips are for shorting. When we're in a huge bear market, you want to be riding that trend, and the same thing with a bull. And of course, this is on a software product out there, but out of 30 market top indicators, not a single one has hit. Now, these are different indicators on the charts: RSI, alt season indexes, Bitcoin dominance, long-term holder supply, short-term supply, how much supply is on exchanges. Literally zero of these have hit. So we have not seen the types of things we saw last cycle whenever things got a little overheated and some of these metrics were hitting. You could probably infer that we were going to top around that time period. And whenever I'm looking at the markets right now, we get a dip in the market, people become fearful, and I understand that. But in this video, we're going to go over the strategy of how to mitigate that fog. Like, we see the long-term picture here with crypto, with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with altcoins, etc. But these little time periods, they are meant to shake you out and have wavering conviction and try to lower your conviction in crypto at that point in time. But we get a dip in the market, people get a little bit fearful. But there's no reason to be bearish when potential rate cuts are right around the corner. I think the percentage, like we said on Saturday's show, is 92% for rate cuts coming up in September. That FOMC meeting would be about mid-September, and we'll talk about that here coming up shortly. It could be one of the most explosive potential quarters in crypto history. And I understand de-risking maybe. I understand taking some profits as your bags do pump. But as Becker says here, and I do agree with this, there's no point in really, frothing over the price or obsessing over the price at this point in time. 99%, including him and including me. There's probably not even 1% of people can effectively time the market perfectly every single time. So if someone says they're a magician or this is going to come to fruition, I would never listen to that when it comes to timing this market. But the question you have to ask yourself is ETH likely to still go higher and potentially start an alt run? Is the risk worth the reward? The answer is duh. Turn off your brain and hold. I did really like this tweet from Becker. And then, of course, a lot of people were wondering, well, Saylor hasn't been buying. And then just this morning, Saylor has announced that Strategy has acquired another 430 Bitcoin at $51.4 million. And they now hold an overwhelming BlackRock and MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, they hold 6.56% of Bitcoin's total supply. Exchange supply is at a 7-year low. We see the ETF inflows 5.5x monthly the mining output, and BlackRock owns 5% of MicroStrategy and the IBIT ETF dominance. So the supply shock on Bitcoin is happening as we've been calling out. This is the Bitcoin gold rush. So to me, all these catalysts line up for the fact that this bull market is not over. Alt season is still on the table, but how can you effectively make sure that during these time periods, your mental is intact? And look, it's different for everyone. You might have $1,000 in crypto. You might have $10,000 in crypto. You might have $100,000 in crypto. So everyone is going to be different in this perspective. The healthiest thing I can tell you is to always keep some stables on the side, on chain already. I'm not talking about, put all your money that you want in the market, allocate it 100% to different coins, and then, the market dipped and you're racing to deposit more money. That's not what I'm saying. That's like you're at the casino and you're rushing to the cashier's desk trying to pull money from the ATM and get more chips. That's not what we're talking about here. You want to allocate a certain amount of capital into crypto. Make sure you keep 10, 15, 20% of that in stable coins. It's going to keep your mental healthy when you see a good dip pop up. Maybe you're already exposed to it. You can give a good DCA level on some of the coins that you're highly convicted on in your portfolio, or when a coin starts heating up. For example, we saw Chainlink this week up 17%. We saw Cardano making a run up 16%. So if you want to take these swing trade opportunities on these types of tokens, you're going to want to keep stablecoins on the sideline. So my advice to you to keep things healthy is don't put 100% of your chips on the table for one roll, aka for one chance, and if it goes down, like you have no alternate route. I would at least keep 10 to 20% of your overall crypto holdings in stables. This is going to mitigate that mindset where you have maybe a little bit of fear whenever the market dips, or you're having FOMO whenever the market stops pumping. You can still allocate both ways. So that is what I would do, and that is what I do. I usually keep at least double-digit percentages of my on-chain capital in stable coins just to be able to capitalize on these types of days with dips, or when a coin is catching traction, to be able to take advantage of those time periods. And that's how you're going to make sure that these crypto dips don't get the best of you, but you get the best of these dips every single time, because in the bull market, we're going to see retracements. It's not just going to be up only. There might be a time period where it's mass euphoria, where we have weeks on end where it's going to be like last bull market, or even this last January. Altcoins were ripping before Donald Trump launched a meme coin. So when you think of these time periods, you have plenty of opportunity, and just having those stables is going to be a big asset for you on the side as you are already allocated into your longer term positions. So what am I looking at during this dip as far as trades to take, as well as spot accumulation? So I'm going to start with trades specifically. And number one for me is still hyperliquid. I think hyperliquid longs in the low 40s. Right now we're at 44. I think this is a very healthy position to take. I would make sure your margin levels are very healthy, but at the same time, this is the best token to be involved with this bull market, given the fact that long, short, liquidations doesn't matter. Hyperliquid's buying back the token every single day. Even though Hyperliquid still moves like Bitcoin throughout the course of the cycle, just like most coins, when Bitcoin's ripping, you see that coin kind of following that trend as Bitcoin is the market leader. The one thing with Hyperliquid is it feels like the dips are shorter and less volatile, but the rips are so high upside that you want exposure to this token. And I do think a responsible leverage trade on this is the play. We see Phantom has onboarded more users into Hyperliquid than any other platform this cycle. And look, even if you want to take a shot at a spot bag at $44, I think Hyperliquid is a $100 token on spot over the course course of this cycle easily. I don't see a single reason why Hyperliquid can't hit $100 this cycle. Number two, and this would be a spot buy for me, just because I think when this breaks out, it is going to be extremely high upside. However, it is just a matter of when that's going to be, because all the metrics on 𝗬𝗎 are just incredibly bullish. Stablecoin supply is at an all-time high. DeFi and TVL is at an all-time high. Then we see here the daily active addresses just put in an all-time high at 3.5 million, the 3-month all-time high over the course of this time. So there is nothing slowing down on the 𝗬𝗎 network. More and more people are onboarding every single day. They're putting an initiative on DeFi. They're putting an initiative on gaming. This, to me, checks all the boxes that I want as far as a token in this market. And at 364, I think it's a fantastic level. I think this goes to $7, $8 whenever the market does turn back up pretty easily. If we just look at the all chart here, we see this hit 519 back in January when things were ripping. I think we can clear that level very easily as Ethereum starts to make a turnaround and hits those all-time highs. Number three, and this would actually for me be a responsible leverage position as well. We have enough of this in our spot bags, but just to maximize that upside, if we just take a look at the 1 month chart here on Avalanche, it does the same thing over and over. We see dips. So it went from $23 here all the way up to 27, dips down to 20, rips back up to 25. Now we're at these $23 levels. I think a good healthy margin, making sure that liquidation price is well under $20. I think this is a great trade because I do see upside from this in the short term. Retail interest is eyeing Avalanche. They're onboarding more normal businesses, institutions, banks than any other chain in crypto. And it just gets so overlooked. They have Black Hole, which is just consuming so much TVL and has driven AVAX to their highest TVL levels since 2022, 2023. So I do think this is a great trade on leverage. And I also do have my spot bags loaded from anywhere from $19 to $22. I still think it is a great buy currently. However, to maximize these swings, it is such a coordinated token. Whenever it dips, it just rips right back to those 25, 26, 27 levels. That's what I'm looking at over the course of the next 30 days as well. And why am I terming 30 days a lot on this video? Is because about a month from now, we're going to have that FOMC meeting where people are starting to project that we see rate cuts. There's two options that happen with the market here. And yes, August has not been great. Let's just be realistic, crypto investor to crypto investor here. August has not been the best month for altcoins. There's been a few that have really won at this point in time, but August has been a little bit of a lull. And traditionally, August is not a great month for crypto, just in general. However, I do think the next 30 days are crucial, and I think we will probably see a pump as long as the rhetoric and the wording leading into next month's FOMC is bullish. If we start to hear rumblings of rate cuts, you're going to see this market start to climb up. The question is going to be, A, do we actually get the rate cuts? And B, if we get rate cuts, is it a buy the rumors, sell the news event? We have to prepare ourselves for every scenario. So I think the next 30 days are very ripe for upside leading into that anticipation, but we're going to have to see what happens if we actually get rate cuts. Are we really going to send parabolic, or do we potentially want to take profits if we see a healthy market pump over the next 30 days? We will update you guys as we see this thesis play out, but I am very much keyed in on the next 30 days. My fourth play here on this video is a simple DCA into Block Street. I don't think there's an easier, lower market cap altcoin. So the three we just talked about, obviously, Hyperliquid's 10 plus billion. We have 𝗬𝗎, which is 10 plus billion. And then also we have AVAX, which is around that 10 billion mark. What is AVAX right now, actually? $10 billion market cap. There you go. So what I'm looking at right now as far as Block Street, it's $160 million circulating market cap, or really that's fully diluted, actually. It's about an $80 million market cap circulating. The US Treasury is saying that crypto stablecoins will expand dollar access for billions across the globe. And USD1 is World Liberty Fi's stablecoin. This is one of the only pairs in the market right now that is officially correlated with USD1. So the Treasury is literally saying stablecoins will expand the access. The USD1 thesis literally being spelled out as USD1 rolls out and gets integrated into the crypto market. I am positioned on the USD1 launch machine, which is Blockstreet. And someone in our private Discord, by the way, we do have a group. If you guys want to join, we don't ask for monthly memberships. It is literally, you can just buy our NFT. It is probably, I can link it down below in the description. It's that double T logo at the very top here. This thing of ours, the crypto gaming mafia was the original branding there. But we go over everything crypto. We have multiple callers across meme coins, different majors, different trades, etc. It's just, you can just buy an NFT and gain access to it. So it's not a monthly cost. If you're interested in getting more information, you can check that out. We've been very high on Blockstreet in that group, but someone in my group today said something that I think is very true. So whenever we started talking about Block, it was around these levels to 14 to 18 cent levels. And it is kind of trending because the market is in a little bit of a sideways trend, just to say the least at this point in time. And whenever we called Prime, Echelon Prime, about a year and a half ago, or at this point it was 2 years ago, at $2.70, it dipped below $2, and a lot of people were fearful at that point in time. But then it literally went to $27 and did a clean 10x. And yes, Prime has gone down a lot since then, but Prime did a 10x from $270 to $27 over the course of the next year. I think that Blockstreet could do literally the same thing. Like, I would not be surprised to see this in the next run up eclipse 30, 40 cents. And then over the course of this cycle, probably hit $1. I'm really bullish on Block, and it is one of those only mechanics in the market right now to get exposure to World Liberty Fi. And as much as you may hate World Liberty Fi or support Trump's crypto organization or don't like it, we're here to all try to capitalize on the market, and I do think this is going to pump just given all of the things that we know about USD1 and World Liberty Fi. So those are the main 4 tokens or 5 tokens that I am looking at right now, which is Hype, 𝗠ui, AVAX, and Blockstreet. And just a couple news bits really quick. Wilder World continues to crush it in the crypto gaming space. They just got listed on Binance Alpha, and just looking across the board, there's really only been a couple gaming coins performing right now, and one of them is Wilder World. If we just look over the course of the year, it's up 200%. Earlier in the year, it hit $1 at the end of 2024. Just recently, it went back up to 46 cents, sitting at 47 cents now. Over the course of the month, up 70%. This thing's absolutely crushing it, and I think the Wilder World team is doing everything correct at this point in time in the market. And you guys know we've been exposed to this token for 2+ years at this point in time. So it's good to see a crypto gaming team competent and knowing how to maneuver these markets. And then just looking at other opportunities, you don't always have to be buying and selling tokens. You can park capital in a platform like Black Hole. At current price, ROI on burning to vote is about 0.9 years. So that's about 11 months or so. The VARP, voting ARP, is consistently going up. The DEX is seeing growth in volume each epoch and many avenues of growth, plus new token listings coming up. If you don't want to get involved with Black Hole, I'd hop over to Hyper EVM. You can get involved here with a bunch of liquidity pairs and also get that Hyper EVM exposure for a potential hyper liquid airdrop. But I do think still this month is Abstract August. If you're not maybe moving a little bit of capital and playing around on the Abstract chain, I would go play around with some of their dApps. Cambria just launched their Degen Arena. They did $1 million in volume over the last 2 days in wagers, which is just ridiculous. There's Proof of Play Arcade. You have On-Chain Heroes over there. You also have Chronoforge, which is going live on early access September 10th. All of these gaming products are building on Abstract. So there's a lot of opportunities here, from yield farming, getting involved with Abstract, making sure you're racking up that XP for future airdrops. Not everything has to be, I have to DCA every dip. You can make the most of those time periods where the market is going sideways to make sure that these opportunities are very fruitful because you put in the time when the market is slow. So that is today's video, guys. Once again, the tokens that I am really eyeing for trades right now: Hyperliquid, 𝗬𝗎, AVAX, and Blockstreet. And then just seeing Wilder World crush it amidst gaming chaos is absolutely phenomenal. And we'll have more updates throughout the week. You should expect a video here every single day on the channel moving forward. So guys, if you enjoyed the content, let me know what coins you like, what coins you don't like. Did you disagree or agree with some of my thesis? I'd love to hear it down below in the comment section, but like, subscribe, as well as comment down below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, play well, my friends, trade responsibly, and of course, please stay bullish, my friends.